Asking for a Ride is the latest album from White Reaper, and I am so stoked that one of the guys was sacrificed to join me here. We've got Sam from the band. Hello, sir.
What's up?
How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm in my running clothes right now. I'm
Oh,
sitting in the van. I'm in Denver, Colorado. I'm gonna go on a run today, and that's exciting.
I thought you might have been coming back from your run, hence the more loungy type of posture.
No, no, no. Dude, this chair is reclined. I have to recline it back up so I don't look like I have really bad posture. Okay, here we go.
Oh, and see, I'm making you all self-conscious here. I caught you here in San Francisco a couple of weeks ago, and man, it was literally like revisiting old friends. I obviously wish we could have done this in person, but I know your schedules were really tight. What's it been like?
Yeah,
How did you feel? What has been the best and worst about being back on the road?
man, I'll start with the best. Like during COVID, there was a lot of uncertainty. We didn't know if we would ever be able to do this again, which might be a stretch. But in the heat of the moment, like during COVID, there were moments where I was like, I don't know if we're gonna do this, ever again. And actually doing this again is surreal, and we don't take it nearly as much for granted anymore. It's a lot more like it just feels more special now. Um, on the contrary, this routing has been insane, and we've had to cancel like two shows because of weather, and um, there was a good stretch where we were sleeping like 4 hours a night. I don't want to sound like a big baby, but because this is what I want to do and this is what I love. But sometimes it's just it makes your body hurt.
Yeah, exactly. I'm surprised that you're going to go out for a run after this.
Yeah, sometimes to get the body to feel better, you got to move around a little bit.
Are you normally active when you're not on the road? Did you pick up exercise as kind of a regimen during the pandemic?
Mm, I ran I ran a few marathons before COVID happened, and then I stopped exercising during COVID, and now I'm back up. I'm back working out. I'm back running around. Like I try to run before shows. It gets the juices flowing. It makes my brain feel good.
Hmm.
Uh,
Yeah,
I also get really
exercise.
I get nervous before shows, and it helps with that. But what were you gonna say?
Exercise, exactly. Exercise does a lot. I mean, as long as you're not overdoing it and stressing yourself out, because clearly you need energy to perform on stage. So I'm glad that you're saying that it helps reduce some of that anxiety. When you
Yeah.
when people talk about anxiety, especially during the pandemic, because they were questioning themselves, and not to get too deep here, but a lot of self-analysis took place and self-value. And as an artist, and you just talked about loving the performances and being on stage, having that taken away. What was it that you used to supplement that when that dopamine is not there when you are on stage and you get that instant gratification, and then everything shuts down? You wake up in the morning, you don't have that applause.
At first, I got the dopamine by like learning how to make sauerkraut and learning how to make like new recipes at my house.
Oh, no way.
And yeah, so I learned how to make food, and I tried to learn how to brew beer, but I was really bad at it, and I didn't even try. I tried it once, and I was like, why am I doing this? This is stupid. And then I mean, it's weird because during that time, you kind of before that, I had so much of my personality attached to what I did, but then when COVID happened, I realized that everything here is so separate from my job, and it's just easy to identify yourself with what you do so easily. So it's just kind of cool to compartmentalize the two and kind of learn more about yourself. But dopamine, I was drinking a lot.
Hmm.
I was drinking a lot and watching a lot of movies.
How did you
Totally.
guys, as a band, as friends, communicate with one another, help one another, and deal with it?
Well, we didn't see each other for like a month or two, and then after a while, we decided we really needed to start writing music together, or else it was just going to be, we didn't want to squander all the time that we had. So we booked Airbnbs. The first one we booked was in Arkansas, and we just like wrote a bunch of songs, and like literally 90% of them are really crappy
Hmm.
and they sound like there's like joke songs, but the other 10% came through. And we did like a few trips like that where we set up a studio, we recorded, and some of the new songs on the album are from those trips. Like the opening track of the new album was recorded in Arkansas for the first time. So that was written in 2020, which is crazy to
Wow.
think about 3 years ago.
Wow. So you guys already were thinking about just letting loose, playing this aggressive style and kind of the stuff that inspired you to become a band in the first place. Is that a fair statement?
Totally. Absolutely. We're also just like losing our minds because I feel like I have some attachment to these boys, and if I'm not around them for too long, I get stressed out because like I'm so used to being around them all the time, you know?
Yeah. Tony and Ryan are still in Louisville. Where are you and Nick and Hunter?
Me and Hunter and Nick are in LA. So that was another big thing in 2020 is I made the move to LA, and then my brother did. And the main reason I did it was because the weather is a lot nicer, and I like to be outside. Yeah.
Weather was the main driving factor. How do you deal with all the personalities and the rat race of LA?
The real answer is you got to find the right group of people to hang out with.
Have you been
Like
able
you
to
got to,
find them?
yeah, I definitely, I feel like musicians are like a weird bubble of people. And there's also like specific musicians that aren't really in that bubble, but like people that are transplants and grew up listening to the same music that I did. Like there's, I don't know. Also like every city has that type of every big city has those type of people, and I think it's just about like finding your group.
With the guys in Louisville, you in LA, when did you guys, or how did you guys piece this album together? You talked about how the pandemic drove you guys to Arkansas. By the way, the album's fantastic. I mean, I'm a fan of you guys, so but
Thanks.
you are really just going back to your roots on this. There's no Jay Joyce on this one at the helm in production, but you guys are, and you obviously had some help with one of your buddies in Jeremy. But what was it like doing some of those songs early on and then piecing them together after the fact when you guys were separate?
It was it took a long time because we would like record 11 songs on like one of these trips, and we would cherry pick a few of them that we liked a lot. And then we would have more trips and we would do the same thing. And then before we went in to record everything in Nashville, Tony had written like four new songs. So we put those on the record. So it's I think a lot of it is like what feels new and fresh to us is the most exciting. And so that's what we go with. But it was a long process, to say the least.
Was there any thought of, hey, maybe we should hold off on moving and finish the album first?
Uh, I mean,
The weather was just so terrible. You just had to get out of there.
there was so many question marks. So it was like I'm gonna do what feels right for me, and then everything else will work itself out. And it did, which is amazing.
With the songs
Yeah.
on the album, whose idea was it to really follow that path of getting aggressive and letting loose and being influenced by your early youth?
Basically, the last record we we tried playing a bunch of songs live off of it, and we could only play like three or four, and the rest of them were kind of too they weren't easy to play live. And so we intentionally wanted to record something that we could play live really easily, and I think we could play this whole album front to back with no problems. Honestly, we all feel confident in that. We wanted to make songs a little more rocking, a little faster. We wanted to get out of our comfort zone and just say like, yeah, let's put like a Butthole Surfers type song on this album and just like see what happens. That's a funny farm on the new record. It kind of sounds like Butthole Surfers to me, but
That's rad. That's rad.
Yeah.
And what is really noticeable is that not only did you follow that path and create a whole bunch of earworms and, especially Fog Machine and the title track, but also you slowed things down. You have Pages, which is doing great on alternative radio. It's a little slower. And Heaven or Not is one that really stuck out for me, man. It has those new wave vibes. The bass line, I guess, is really dark, it sounds like. Uh,
Mhm.
what was let's talk about Have It or Not. What was the focus on that, and how did that come to be?
Yeah, so we were in Nashville during one of these Airbnb trips, just like riding and hanging out, and Hunter came up with the little guitar riff that's like sounds like a harp. I think it's like a harp effect on his Kemper. And then we just played along with it, and we wrote the instrumental out, and then Tony sang over it. It was really it came out we basically made it in a day, and we've been listening to a lot of like MGMT's last record, Little Dark Age,
Hmm.
and we thought that it would be cool to like the new wavy stuff is like really is great, and we love it a lot, and we wanted to kind of branch out and tap more into it. And we put like a synth bass over the bass, so there's a lot of bass.
And
There's a lot of bass happening. Uh,
it's
yeah,
dark,
people.
right? It has that dark vibe to it as well.
Yeah, definitely. It's dark. We're kind of goths if you think about it.
I mean, I've always pegged you guys as undercover goths.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. That's one of my favorite tracks, and that's one that people are coming out and saying that is their favorite song. So that makes me happy.
Yeah. And then Pages is the one that everybody is really familiar with. A little more
Yeah.
acoustic. Was that basically done acoustically early on and just stuck?
Yeah, so that one is pretty, that's an old demo from Tony, and it when he made it basically sounds like what you hear on the record. And that's a song that we showed to our moms, and it was all of our mom's favorite song. And we just I found that the more people I showed it to, the more people were like, "Yeah, that song is stuck in my head." So we kind of took that as a sign, and we put that out first. We put that song out as the first single, and it's probably the catchiest one on the album, besides Crawl Space.
You did a great job on the album. Give my love to the boys.
I will. Thank you.
Appreciate your time and congrats on everything.
Thank you so much.